Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into Fire Chicken Review. Today we're going to be talking about the new Game Found campaign that just went up by Ghost Galaxy, and this is KeyForge Grim Reminders. It's already fully funded and it's continuing to raise money. A quick disclaimer up front is that I've had a working relationship with Ghost Galaxy in the past and with FFG in the sense that as a content creator, I've been given preview cards to talk about to hype up like the next set in the campaign, and there's a few other things where I've like been the judge for events and whatnot. That's all to say that I'm a huge fan of the game, both as a content creator, as a player, as a nerdy judge, and so forth. So I dabble in all bits. So take that with a grain of salt when I talk about this campaign. And I'll still be fair, but I want to put that disclaimer out. And what this video is going to be about is talking about should you back or should you not, which is fine with me saying that I'm like a huge person. And wait till you see my pledge, you're going to be like, this person's out of his mind. But I'm still going to be fair, and you'll see that in this video. I'll be comparing it to their previous campaign, Winds of Exchange, which was the first set that Ghost Galaxy did, and they chose to go from a retail format to a format that you see here. And there's already been some talks within the community that are fascinated, disgruntled, turmoil, whatever you want to call it. There's mixed feelings about that the set is continuing to go on crowdfunding. I won't dive too much about that here, but I wanted to bring that up front because you're going to see that in the comments, and you're going to also see that Ghost Galaxy is acknowledging this these feelings. Oh, showed my pledge there for a second. But they're going to acknowledge these feelings, and they talk about what they did right, what they're having challenges with, and they're talking about the way forward. So I won't dive too much into that because you can look it up and see the updates for that. So the first thing to set is, yeah, it's fully back. They have a great little video here that I won't play here. I'll just like show quickly that shows a bunch of fancy cards, and it's like, hey, this is what's happening with KeyForge. I just don't want the sound to bother everyone. I love this little video. These are the type of things you want people to get hyped with. I would have also liked them to have like how to play KeyForge right up front because you can actually set, and I'm sure the team knows this. You can actually also set additional like screens and videos and stuff like that. They just have the one up here now. Maybe they'll change that later. But getting right into it, they talk about the project story, which is a main highlight. I like what they're doing here. And you'll see as I'm talking about this, you're probably distracted to see that I was one of the first backers and I am pledged at a crazy level. And we'll dive more into that a little bit later. But they talk about the project story, which is a great little recap of what's going on, and they show where their previous Winds of Exchange campaign. You can click on that, where they say like what the differences are between this campaign and the previous one, which is a great little link that they have. But getting back into this, I like this part that they have here. Why back this campaign? Just bullet point to the point. Uh, Bullet point is to the point, but it's very short and concise. It's saying, well, why would I want back this? Because there's a lot of people out there that, if they're part of the KeyForge community, are trying to understand and scratch their heads. This game used to only be retail. Like, why not just go retail? And they talk about this and their feelings about crowdfunding. And the intent of this campaign, to disclose up front, is that this is going to be an English only campaign, so you can only buy decks that are in English. And they talk about that in their updates and a few other things about why they're not doing foreign language decks. They tried that, didn't work out well. So they're going to stick to what they know, and they're going to stick to a strategy that they believe is going to be a good way forward. So that's what they go on about here. And then they go straight into Grim Reminders. That is a great timing. Let's be honest here, that they have a set that's called Grim Reminders. It's very ghostly. They'll talk about the new Geistoid house, which is very Halloween feeling. So to come out in October, I'm a super fan of that. It's really cool. They talk about that there's more than 250 new cards. There's a new ability, Scrap, and for less KeyForge nerds, you'll see that the scrap ability is already in the rulebook. And I want to take a little segue here for those that didn't see that. They noted in one of the updates that the scrap ability is slightly changed. So it only affects basically when it's on your turn and cards within your hand. So that's a little side things. They'll be updating the rule book after the campaign, so just keep an eye on that. They'll probably mention it again. And they talk about new revenants, which are basically ghost heroes from the Crucible Pass, which is super cool. Very thematic with the Halloween feeling. So I love that's coming out in October. And I think we saw some of these cards from the previous set. For those that were, we got like preview cards when we got the campaign. We got 3 preview cards, and some people got a card that was signed off, and that was a Revenant. That's super cool. And it was signed off by Richard Garfield. And for those that don't know, KeyForge was made by Richard Garfield, the creator of Magic, and a ton of other games. So that's really cool. So here they are. Let's talk about this. So they have the highlights for these items. I'm not super sold on the artwork for the box. Hopefully they add a little bit more. Like there's just a little bit too much dead space here and too much dead space there. I would like to see some like art that's added here, or just something to make it pop out more. Hey, that's a little bit of a nerdy thing, but if I'm going to have a bunch of these boxes, which I probably will at a pledge level like this, I just like to have it a little bit neater, but that's not here or there. And like I said, they dive into who the Geistoids are, and I love this ghostly little art here, and this is great. They put this together. They talk about how who they are and how they came to the Crucible and all that. So I'll let you read that on the actual campaign page itself. But that's a new house, so we're getting Geistoids. And for those that are not familiar with KeyForge, what you can do is go straight to, hey, new to KeyForge. What's great about what was I going to say? What's great about GameFound is, unlike Kickstarter, for those that are used to backing on crowdfunded sites, is that they have this. I think Kickstarter has just recently added this, but you can just jump straight to the spot that you want to talk about. And they say, hey, if you're new to KeyForge, this is where you can check out this information. Ideally, even though this is on the side, I would have liked them to have had um, what KeyForge is about up front, so it's still here, instead of having new players or new backers that haven't seen KeyForge before have to look for it way down there because it's buried a bit. But that's just me and a little bit of a nuance there. So they go from talking about what the new set is, what the new house is, and then bam, straight into the rewards. And the rewards here, this is a GameFound thing that they do, is that the rewards here, it says the most popular. So basically, the most popular isn't the most backed. This is actually preset. When I opened this up, it was already set to this, and this wasn't the most backed, like 214. Probably it is the most backed right now, but even if this wasn't the actual most popular at the time, I do believe this is based off of whatever the company sets it to. So someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I have backed a lot of games on GameFound, but I might be wrong about that. Anyhow, this is what it's a recommended one, unless it's changed and it's actually the most popular at the time. Anyhow, for 160 US dollars, what you basically get is a display of 12 KeyForge decks, and then a bunch of added additional stuff. So what I like to do is that I base the pledge for at least card games. All the additional swag I consider additional. So I'm like, what would the MSRP be for this game? In this case, the MSRP is it's basically $13 a deck. So if you do 13, um, if you were to do $13 times, uh, 12, you would basically get $156. So close to that 160 US dollars, because they say in the facts themselves that it's 12.99 a deck. If I look at that real quickly here, what the MSRP is, it's somewhere in one of these. What's the retail? No, not the retail one. Can't remember. Where is it at? Well, it's basically $13 a deck. So they talk about what the MSRP is. I can't see it right off the top of my head, but I did review it earlier. So yeah, the reason why I bring that up is that, okay, what would the cost of these decks be? $156. What do I get additionally? a lot of cool stuff, actually, in my opinion. And the main cool thing, and I love that GameFound does this, is that you can click on something. So in this, I click on this, boom, it pops up with the details. Personalized KeyForge deck, and it tells you what they believe the estimated value is, right? So I talked about the 12 decks. Um, Oh, it's right here. I could have just clicked on it here. That would have saved me so much time. They're saying that basically it's 12.99 is what you would pay retail. Here, the decks are 10.99, right? But that being said, again, if you're saying 160, 156 would be what it would be, you need to look at it. You don't need to, but I look at it at that type of value. So everything else is swag that I'm getting for buying it upfront versus going to your local store. And I still do recommend you support your local game stores. And I'll get more onto that in a little bit here. But the biggest selling point for this pledge tier to me, and the reason why I would recommend, like my biggest reason I would recommend backing anything on here, is so that you back at the minimum level where you can get a personalized KeyForge deck. That is so cool. And so what the personalized KeyForge deck is, it says it right here. It talks about what it is. Basically, you're getting a deck with your name on it that you get to choose. So we'll add like things like, I'll say that I want to be fire chicken, and they'll say fire chicken of the area that doesn't belong, or something silly like that. So it talks about like how it works, and they talk a little bit more about that in the facts. But this is a big selling point that a lot of people love, eh, myself included. I personally would probably just back, and this is why they probably don't have it. If they just had this as an add-on, I'd probably be like, hey, I don't need any of this other stuff. I just want to get like a dozen of these decks so that I can get one for everyone that I know within my family and friends and stuff like that. Or maybe I want to get a couple with my name on it. And a lot of people love this idea. So it's better for them to have this in the pledges, because people don't really need the other items as much, but it adds a lot of value to it. So you get a personalized deck, you get a few other things. They're choosing to do a poster. Uh, Let me know in the comments what you think about the poster. I think it's kind of silly, but that is my taste. Some people have already told me they love the idea of the poster, especially if they have kids that are into the game and they can put it up on their wall and they're going to be super excited about it. I don't actually think it adds 15 US dollars worth of value to me. It's something I'm never going to bring out, and I think for most people, they rather not get this. But let me know in the comments. But this is kind of leading to the feedback that a lot of people in the previous campaign of Winds of Exchange said we have too many playmats. So he's coming up with some other ideas. So that's a cool idea. And they have some future stretch goals that will be in place here when the stretch goals go live. Anyhow, enough about that. There's also a retail pledge, which is brand new. Basically, they're saying, hey, throw us $5 and we'll get in contact after the campaign ends. And I am very curious to what this is. So I'll be contacting my retail stores afterwards and just been like, hey, what was the thing? The only thing that I would add to Ghost Galaxy that I would recommend is that there is a bunch of backers that would love to support their stores right away. So if the retail stores had the information privy to themselves, maybe non-disclosure act, like where they can't talk about what exactly the things are, but if they said, hey, we are willing to sell you the pledge. So you basically can get the same level of pledge. We're going to give you a discount, and the backers can buy it from you, so that you make money, we make money. I get that that probably doesn't make the most sense, because the idea of crowdfunding is that you're unfortunately taking out the middle person of the retailers for the most part, so that you can make a little bit extra money and then give these pledges that have additional stuff to players, right? So I am very curious, what's the benefit for retailers? Because I don't know. I don't think retailers know yet, and maybe Ghost Galaxy isn't fully sure what they're going to do with that yet. But I would have liked to have seen just a little bit more information, so that more retailers would jump on board. Because there's a mixed feelings within retailers. It's a story for another time about if they should support KeyForge even. So this is very interesting, but it does help them build this up. And it's interesting because Ghost Galaxy has mentioned that they were allowed because they had a contract with Asmodee, who was like basically their the distributor for the retail side, and I believe is still the distributor. That retailers would be allowed to back straight from the campaign. Very curious. Pledge level if you're brand new to KeyForge. I don't recommend this for anyone. No one should back this pledge level, which is a weird thing to say. Only in the fact that if you want to get into KeyForge, so this is coming from a person. I'm not part of the company. I would just recommend asking your local players, like, "Hey, can I borrow some decks? I want to see if this game is for me." Check the game out. $60 is not going to be worth your time, even with the stretch goals. For a little bit more money, I think there's another pledge here. Oh, maybe there is another pledge. I thought there was another pledge where you could just like back a few decks. But what I would do is that if there's like two or three of you, if you have some friends, I would just back this pledge level, and you could even do like a tournament to decide, like buy some old decks first and decide like who's going to get the personalized deck or something silly like that. But a few people jumping in and getting a lot more money, sorry, a lot more bang for your buck than this. It's also because that um, there's already starter sets out in the wild that are going to be cheaper. So the only additional real thing that you're getting is the stretch goal rewards, and I wouldn't even consider this really that much value because uh, it's really not. I would just say the stretch goal rewards, depending on what they are, it might be worth your time, but let's see how many people actually backed at this. Like 52 people backed at this. I recommend all 52 people should say, hey, let's either up their pledges or don't pledge at all, which is a weird thing to say, but it's just a weird nuance. With a caveat, I should add a caveat. If you're new to KeyForge, don't have any stores around you that sells the game, no one that you know that has it, then by all means pick up this pledge. It's a good way to see if the game is a good fit for you. And I guess it makes sense in some ways for people that are backing on campaigns. Hey, I want to test this out and I want to dabble, but because there's already like a lot of retail stuff and a lot of stores online where you could buy a previous starter set, that's why I would recommend. And from my understanding, starter sets, the new type of starter sets, are basically going to be mostly the same. It should say right here is that basically um, it contains two Winds of Exchange decks, not Grim Reminders. Oh, that's even worse. And so I didn't read this prior. So basically, the reason why I say it's like even worse in the set is that this is literally what you can already get at retail. So you're spending what they considered $40 worth of value of the star set, which I believe is the MSRP value, and then $20 more to get two decks, which is fair, and some stretch goals. It may be worth it depending on the stretch goals, but yeah, consider other levels if you can afford it. And that's going to be a main thing about this is I definitely recommend supporting your local game store first, but there's a lot of cool nifty things that you can potentially get here, and I think that's why this one is going to have a huge amount of backers. Like we got 214 backers of what, like less than 400 people, I think. Yeah, less than 400. So over half the backers agree that this is a really good level to support Ghost Galaxy and potentially support their local game store because you're getting a lot of cool stuff where like you don't even get a play mat. If you're new to the game, play mats are kind of interesting. You don't need them, but just a interesting aspect. Now we're going to get into the crazy stuff, right? These are levels that I only recommend backing at if you are like a super passionate player of KeyForge, already know the game, and potentially are backing it with some friends so that you're all getting decks. Because like $450, that's a lot. And most likely if you're not in the States, and even if you're in the States, you'll see below like you're paying you gotta pay the extra shipping because of the weight and all that. It's gonna be a little bit more. You're gonna pay taxes on that, so it's gonna add up quite a bit, right? Like this pledge here in Canadian dollars is like seven it's going to be like $700, $800. Once I add in like taxes and the exchange rate, it's about like 1.4 right now. So it's a heavy hit for me. And you're going to say, well, why are you backed out even higher? I'll get to that here in a bit. But it's still pretty interesting. lots of good stuff that you get. So you get Awaken KeyForge decks, and what these are, I suspect. Let me see. Yeah, it says like the Savior KeyForge. So what these are is that it just has a special tint to the cards basically. So there's nothing extra about this. It's just like gonna look a little bit different when you have it on your play mats or when you're playing the game. So there's no like hidden cards or anything like that. If you're new to KeyForge, it's gonna have the same set of cards. It's just gonna have a special thing that is going to be around the border. So this border here is gonna have a special conditioning, so it looks really neat. It's actually super cool that you get this. And basically, you're getting these for free. This is like it's interesting that like this is what I would consider stretch goal items. So they just add it into the pledge already. It would have been, it's almost like it would have been cool to have it like as a side thing, saying, hey, here's a like already a stretch goal, so they could pop off instead of having these gimmicky stretch goals, and they'll probably still have some because a lot of campaigns do, is that they just put it into the pledge right away. Makes sense, so that they can have different pledge levels and different amounts that they're giving it away, and you'll see that in the different pledge tiers. The personalized deck, super, super cool. The fact that you get to choose a name. I forgot to mention that in this campaign, unlike the previous one, you also get to choose your houses, which for like KeyForge nerds like myself, that's super exciting. Like, I love Brobnar. I love that they fight, and you're like, okay, cool. And someone else might like Mars and whatnot. And what I think there was probably a lot of feedback is that, you get a personalized deck, but didn't have the houses that you would normally like to play as, where now you get to choose. So you get that feeling that it's even more personalized, it's even more custom, and it's just a super neat and cool idea. I do like that. You have a personalized playmat, and at this level you'll get the Flume, which I think my toddler is going to be a big fan. He has the previous plushie toy, and I'll probably have by like 10 years from now, I'll probably have like a huge collection of all these toys. So I think this is going to be a big selling point. I don't think they're selling these separately, which is unfortunate because I think some people don't have the funds or don't want to like have waste because they only want like a couple of decks. But a lot of people would love to have this. So maybe, hopefully, I think the previous plushie, if I'm not wrong, is sold on Game Center, which is like a local game store in Minnesota that is owned by uh, the person that owns Ghost Galaxy as well. So this may go to limited retail afterwards, or they may allow retailers to sell these because I don't know. And this will be a big selling item. It probably will sell for more than $30 US. I think maybe not. I don't know. I haven't really looked at what the previous one, the Fuzzy Gruen, was selling for. But people love these. I'm a big fan because I can give it to my kid and pretend it's not for me. It's gonna be for me. Yeah, and a few other things. So you get to choose like a Grim Reminder playmat. So there's like 7 different playmats you can choose from with all crazy artwork. I have a billion playmats, but yeah, it just adds a little bit of value. And again, if you were to do the math, I guarantee that like let me look at this: 36 KeyForge decks. Yeah, it's not broken down, but if you were to do the math, if I recall, just like the previous campaign, it's basically equals out to what the MSRP would be, and then all the other stuff is additional swag. So more of the story is the higher the pledge tier, look at it per deck level. Um, and like I think this crazy $1,500 one, I broke it down. It's like $9.50 per deck. If you're like a math person like myself, and everything else then just becomes like, hey, this is extra swag. So that's what this one is. This adds even more additional stuff, and it also adds the collector set. So I got the collector set from the previous one. And there's a few people that were sad that they didn't pick this up. What it is, it's going to be a collection of, it's going to be one of each card from this set. And I think for competitive players, this will also help if you want to have like physical decks of other people's like really good decks from this set. It allows you to take a bunch of the cards, basically proxy another competitive player's deck, because you can't actually make decks. You don't make decks in KeyForge. You just get a unique deck. That's why it's a unique deck game. But it would allow you to proxy and play with the physical cards without having to like break down other cards from other decks that you have, which would probably be fine for the most part. But like the big selling value is just like a collector's item. That's what it really is. A secondary item is that if you're a competitive player like myself and you want to play with physical cards, a lot of the rares are a little bit harder to find in decks that maybe you don't use. So this allows you the opportunity to proxy. So that's a cool thing, and it's a nifty thing. It sits on my shelf. I probably don't actually use it, but you're basically getting it as like a free, like a air quote free item. So it's a nifty thing, and I know there's a few people that said that they wish they got. Let me know in the comments if you got it. Were you a fan or were you not a fan? And if you didn't get it, were you like one of the people that's like, dang, I wish I got that because it was fun. Yeah, everything else is pretty much the same. And then this bad boy here, the $1,500 pledge, just more decks, more stuff, and whatnot. And I forgot to mention that I think starting with the 450, uh, is it with the 450 only? Yeah, starting with the 450, you also get a free copy of their upcoming adventure, and this is cool. So the adventure sets is basically a way to play KeyForge cooperatively, and I like the idea of playing KeyForge cooperatively. So this is a nifty little thing that you can get. Because who doesn't want to play their favorite games? And this also taps into a market of players that just want to play it as a board game, right? Just get your favorite decks and play these things. So I recommend checking out some of the other adventures. I think they said they're going to have it in as add-ons after the campaign ends. Um, and then my $2,000 pledge. This is why you came to the video, because I'll probably make my title something about like, am I crazy backing at this $2,000 pledge that you'll see is sold out, right? So what it is, I'm just going to dive into the Crucible and Me. Basically, for $500 extra, um, you get to have yourself in the game. I absolutely love KeyForge. It is my favorite card game I have ever played. This was easy for me. I am lucky and blessed that I have I have the money basically that I can throw 500 US dollars out, and my wife's probably going to kill me and choke my neck a bit. But I can throw 500 US dollars to be in my favorite game of all times. No brainer for me. I want to support the company, love the game. I would do it. And so you might see my face later on, even though I don't like showing my face in a lot of my videos. That's why I'm doing it like this. You might see my face as in the card forever in my game. This sold out within 10 minutes, by the way. I was backer number 28, backed within 5 minutes of the game. Took a lunch break from work just to get this. I'm so excited about this. I do hope that they limit this in scope. I expect that they'll do this probably in future campaigns. They'll have another set of 10, but I do hope that this is like limited, just so I can cherish it some more. But my other feedback is that I think this is a type of thing that people do love. So hopefully they consider it for organized play. Maybe have like the winner of worlds or nationals or like these high level events have a chance to also do this. Super excited. That's such a cool reward. Let me know if you were one of the people that did get this, or if you weren't lucky enough. Were you excited to see this and say, "Ah, no, I didn't get a chance to get this," because I think people would be, but it sold out quickly. But like again, $2,000. Do I think I need 144 KeyForge decks? Absolutely not. I am trying to ask my local community, do you need KeyForge decks? I don't need this many displays from this one because I have hundreds upon hundreds of decks already. So I didn't want back that many, but I felt compelled because I really wanted this. I want the Crucible in me. Super excited to have it. Let me know how silly I am to get this, or if this is my favorite game and it's disposable income, am I just fine doing it? Like it's my choice, right? So I don't know. I'm still like iffy about it. I'm about 70% on keeping it. I'm pretty sure I am. But yeah, that's the pledge. So that's what they go on about. They talk about the stretch goals. I'll save that for another time. And then they talk about some add-ons that you can potentially get here. Just standard add-on stuff. New to KeyForge shipping. I want to dive into the shipping aspect. Shipping looks really good. I always like to compare Canada and the U.S. because I'm in Canada, and the prices are fair. If I was to compare it to the previous set, you'll see that shipping was like what $12.26 starting off. and it's $12.27 starting off this time. And if you compare the two, I don't have them next to each other. Pretty much the shipping rates, as far as I can tell, for North America, and I apologize for international, the shipping rates look like they're basically about the same. And the some of them are actually slightly different, like a dollar or two different, up or down, which is fine. Um, the biggest thing about the game altogether that I want to talk about, not the biggest thing about the game, the other thing about like backing is that this is considered a, what is it called? Risk and challenges. It's called a stable pledge. So I want to bring up a stable pledge because I gotta give Ghost Galaxy kudos for doing this again. So Ghost Galaxy, as far as I know, KeyForge was the first game to have a stable pledge. Basically, what this means is that if the shipping costs go up by more than like 10% or whatnot, you will be able to just say, "Hey, I want my money back," and GameFound and the GameFound will reimburse Ghost Galaxy, as far as I know, or something like that, where basically they say um, you're gonna get 100% refund back. If it goes up too high, it's over the 10%, you're gonna go up. So read more about the stable pledge. I'm butchering what I'm talking about, but the reason why I bring this up is Kickstarter was known notoriously. CMON Games comes to mind with like Zombicide and stuff like that, where like all of a sudden the shipping costs went up. Um, Darkest Dungeon's another example. I apologize for those that back Darkest Dungeon. That's the most recent one where they're being asked to like pay like another like $50+ for shipping for something they already paid crazy amounts for. So in this case, if this were to happen, which it won't, with this game, you could say, "Hey, I want my money back," and you get the full 100% versus 10% that 10 to 15% that the company would take. So that's what that's about. Um, so they go into shipping. They talk about taxes and duties. What's KeyForge all about? This is where I said I would have liked to have had the link near the top, but it is on the side down here. So you can say, what is KeyForge about? And what's cool is like when you're scrolling through, you'll notice that this updates, but I would have liked to have a link up here. But yeah, this is what KeyForge is about. Crazy good game. I love, this is a great little video. There's lots of videos about how to play KeyForge, but like honestly, how to play, how to win right here is like sums it up pretty quick. I love this little picture. Love this one as well. It shows you how to play the game. It's a great inclusive game if you've never played KeyForge before. My wife likes KeyForge. I know lots of families that are. Sorry about that. I know lots of families that are playing KeyForge together, and they're loving it. Very inclusive and diverse community. And it's not that we're trying; it just is that because yeah, it's just an easy to pick up game that is fun, casual, and competitive. And there's yeah, it's a great game. So there's some challenges. I'll be talking about that in other videos. This is more clearly again. If I backed $2,000, I'm probably going to hype the game up, and that's what I'm doing here. But yeah, it's a fun little thing. And they go on to the reviews, Dice Tower, all the other great content creators. I'm not in there because I haven't done actually a review of KeyForge because my bias view is it's a 10 out of 10 game for me if I'm spending this crazy amount of money. It must be because otherwise why would I spend this amount? And yeah, I again day one. What am I doing here, right? But yeah, that's the quick coverage of the game. So should you back this game? Why back, right? So this is the reasons they say to back the game. In my opinion, you should only back the game if you have the disposable income to do so. There's a lot of challenges that is going on within the community right now. I will leave it at that. You can read more into that at the moment. You'll see that within the comments, there's going to be a lot of mixed and negative comments of people saying they didn't get their Winds of Exchange pledge. Ghost Galaxy covers that to length, talking about like what is happening, the percentage of people that haven't, but that's a vocal percentage. Organized play is also having challenges. For those that are frustrated with organized play and whatnot, I hear you, I understand, and I recommend that we look at it and we ask. You can talk with your money and say, hey, I don't want it back. Don't be like me with a $2,000 back. If it's not for you, hold out and explain to the company, and they're listening, right? Why you're choosing not to do it, right? We lost one of our favorite formats. We don't have sealed at the moment. Crazy Alliance format came in, a lot of mixed feelings about that. So we've had people come and go. lots of people still excited about KeyForge. The game itself is still a blast to play. The community itself is still like the community's awesome. I love the community. Game's great. I have a lot of mixed feelings myself, but I want to support the company because I absolutely love the game, and there is a lot of things that they have done right. So I think 2024 is going to be a big year to see how well this company does or doesn't do. So if you're hesitant, because there is some, I wouldn't call them red flags, there are some like lukewarm orange flags around here in the aspect that I think the game's going to be here for the next year or two, pretty much guaranteed. But the issue is what level is the game going to be at? So if you're at that competitive level, I have, in my own personal opinion, downgraded the game to like it's a kitchen sink game right now because we're not getting like hundreds and hundreds of people coming out to these big tournaments, but we're getting a lot of good people coming out, and there isn't as many retail stores supporting the game. But this is all stuff that can be rebuilt, and it's still in the rebuild phase, and that's where I look at it. They put a lot of resources into things they thought is appropriate, and they're learning, right? They're licking their wounds and they're learning. So hopefully during the campaign we can share our feelings about, like, as players and backers, like, hey, this is the formats and this is the stuff. My biggest thing of all this is I would ask, what will the 2024 organized play look like? And that should be, if I was someone that was on the fence, that would be my thing, is like, what will organized play in 2024 look like? Because a lot of stores haven't really seen anything, and it's kind of been hidden in the background. I bring it up front, even with like my crazy pledge. I'm not going to be silly with it. These are things that we are passionate and would like to know. So that is my like negative aspect to it. Is the game fun? Yes. Will this campaign do well? I believe so. Will you get it in a faster time than Winds of Exchange? Uh, I would be willing to bank, yes. For those that backed previously, I think you're going to get it in a much faster time. They got everything established now, and what the company is saying is that they want to see 2 sets a year. So it's going to be bing, bang, boom. Things need to move quickly, and this will be one of the catalysts to have the help the game push forward, because we skyrocketed it up with Winds of Exchange. What a great set, and a lot of people were excited. And now we got some a little bit more mixed feelings within like the competitive side of KeyForge. Casual KeyForge, who cares about all that nerd stuff? Do you like the game? Okay, buy it at your local game store. Do you like Ghost Galaxy? You want to support and get the game directly to you? Potentially don't have a retail store. Okay, support the campaign. Do you have a local game store that is having challenges and whatnot? Maybe support the campaign, but try to give your local store as much money that you would be willing to spend. Like, still spend the same amount, is what I'm saying. But I would shy away from spending as much on the campaign and support your local game store, because for me, I know I started playing KeyForge at my local game store, and for me, I hope my last day of like playing competitive KeyForge, at least, and when I'm old and need to retire from it, is at my local game store. So let me know what you think of the campaign in the comments below. Did I hit a lot of good points, or did I just ramble on? And how crazy am I for saying I'm backing at 2000? And I'll keep it spoiler free for what type of card I would love to create with Ghost Galaxy. But that's been me. You've tuned into Fire Chicken Review. I'll have lots of other stuff as the campaign is probably going on. If I get time, I'm solo parenting right now, so it's been challenging. That's why I haven't had as many videos up. I'm going to start getting back into it. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed, and let me know. Did you back the campaign or did you not? And it's already 400 backers and over 125,000 US raise. We'll see where it goes from here.